Hi there, this is called the Lasker Massacre, where the great Emanuel Lasker got devastated on the white side of a Scandinavian in a Simul in Berlin in 1912 against a certain M.V. Behnisch. Now I don't know too much about Mr. Behnisch, but it appears he may have been a military man, and perhaps he was so overwhelmed by this famous victory that he died shortly after. Lasker played e4, Behnisch the Scandinavian d5, formerly known as the centre counter. White takes, and rather than recapture immediately with a queen, black plays knight f6, hoping to take that pawn on d5 now with a knight. White can go for this line, c4, which defends the pawn on d5 and pretty much ensures that white is going to be materially ahead. Black can be happy with this gambit line now, c6, because after d takes on c6, knight takes on c6, black has some formidable counterplay against the pawn deficit, with the d-pawn, white's d-pawn, a backward d-pawn, meaning that it can't really advance, say, to d4, because that square on d4 is heavily defended by the knight and the queen. So knight c3 is played. I believe knight f3 is more common. e5 releasing the bishop on f8, and more control on that important d4 square. So Lasker plays d3. Bishop c5 is met by bishop e3. White, being a pawn up, wants to adhere to that old golden rule of offering exchanges if you're materially ahead. Well, here black dumps the knight into that hole on d4, and if bishop takes, then black will recapture with at least equality. So knight f3 puts more pressure on d4, but here an interesting move by black. Bishop f5 or g4 might have been more natural, but this move, knight g4, really takes the game to Lasker, threatening to take the bishop on e3. So Lasker takes, bishop takes on d4. Rather than take with the bishop, black gets much more promising game with e takes on d4, hitting the knight, which jumps to e4, in turn hitting the bishop, which runs to b4 with check. Lasker's going to interpose with a knight on f3, and now black castles. White wants to do the same. Bishop e2 hits the knight on g4, but perhaps Lasker missed this move of black, knight e3. A fine try. The knight's hitting the queen and hitting g2. So f takes on e3 is met by d takes on e3, and black's going to recover the lost piece because the knight on d2 is pinned. So white castles, and after e takes on d2, it's still more or less equal here, and Lasker should have really continued with a3, hitting the bishop, not to be too much in a hurry to recover that pawn on d2. Instead, Lasker played knight takes on d2, and that allows black to continue with queen d4 check. That's going to pick up the pawn on b2. After king h1, queen takes b2 with advantage for black, and Behnisch went on to win this famous game. So this has been a trap in the Scandinavian. It's called the Lasker Massacre. Hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.